My mother looked me dead in the eye at the charity gala and said, "Don't even think about talking to him. You're here to hold Isabella's purse, not embarrass us." She was talking about the Duke of Westmore, and she had no idea he'd been watching me all night. Hi, I'm Rebecca Hayes, and I'm 28 years old. If you've ever been treated like the invisible sister, this story will hit you right in the heart. I was the practical daughter, worked as a librarian, lived in a tiny studio apartment, drove my late grandmother's rusty Ford that made weird noises every morning. My sister Isabella was the investment, stunning, spoiled, groomed since childhood to marry into money. My parents spent 20 years and probably $200,000 turning Isabella into the perfect trophy wife. Ballet lessons, etiquette classes, designer clothes, even plastic surgery for her nose. I got library books and hand-me-downs from church donations. I wasn't glamorous or polished like Isabella. I read romance novels instead of fashion magazines, preferred hiking boots to heels, and actually enjoyed my job helping kids learn to read, but I had something they never bothered to notice. I was genuinely kind, and apparently, some people still value that. For years, I felt like the family's afterthought, always standing in Isabella's shadow, treated like hired help whenever we went anywhere together. If you've ever been the overlooked sibling while your family poured everything into the golden child, subscribe right now and drop your location in the comments. I want to know I'm not the only one who's lived this way. It all started when my parents announced they'd secured invitations to the exclusive Westmore Foundation Charity Gala, the social event of the season. The Duke of Westmore, recently divorced and worth millions, would be attending. My mother practically vibrated with excitement. "This is Isabella's moment," she declared, pacing around our kitchen like a general planning a battle. "Everything we've worked for leads to this night." That's when I discovered how deep their obsession ran. My parents had spent their entire retirement savings on Isabella's Duke hunting preparation. A $15,000 designer gown from some fancy boutique in Manhattan, professional styling sessions, deportment coaching to perfect her posture and walk, even fake aristocratic accent lessons from this pretentious woman who charged $300 an hour. "We're putting everything on this night," my father admitted, looking nervous but determined. "If Isabella doesn't land someone wealthy soon, we'll have nothing left." My role was made crystal clear from the beginning. I was only invited to be Isabella's handler. "You'll carry her purse, fix her makeup, make sure she doesn't spill anything," my mother instructed while going through a handwritten list. "Under no circumstances are you to draw attention to yourself. This is Isabella's night." She actually handed me a written list of don'ts. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't make eye contact with important people. Don't order food, don't dance, don't laugh too loud. "Remember, you're invisible tonight," she said, not even looking at me. "Isabella is the star. You're just there to make sure she shines." While Isabella got fitted for her custom gown, I was told to wear something black and forgettable. When I asked about getting my hair done professionally like Isabella, my mother actually laughed. "Why waste money on that? You're not the one anyone will be looking at anyway." But the final blow came at the gala entrance. I was standing behind Isabella, holding her tiny beaded purse and a backup lipstick, when I overheard my mother talking to other society women. "Oh, Rebecca's just here to help," she said with this dismissive wave. "She's not really part of our social circle. Isabella is our real daughter, the one with potential." The ballroom was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers, gold-trimmed everything, waiters in white gloves carrying champagne on silver trays. The air smelled like expensive perfume and fresh orchids. But I felt like I was wearing a giant sign that said "doesn't belong here." During cocktail hour, Isabella accidentally spilled red wine on her purse and shoved it into my hands. "Clean this up," she hissed. "And hurry, I can't be seen with a stained accessory." While I scrubbed the red stain in the bathroom, I could hear Isabella's voice carrying from the lounge area. "My sister's the help tonight," she was telling a group of women. "She's used to it. Cleaning up my messes is basically her job." The humiliation got worse. When Isabella finally met the Duke, a tall man with kind eyes and graying temples, she introduced me as my assistant for the evening rather than her sister. The Duke extended his hand to shake mine, but Isabella quickly pulled him away. "Don't mind her," she said with fake sweetness. "She's just here to make sure I look perfect." During dinner, Isabella monopolized the Duke's attention while I sat at the family table way in the back corner near the kitchen doors. When the Duke politely asked if I'd like to join their conversation about art museums, Isabella laughed like he'd made a joke. "Oh, she wouldn't understand what we're talking about," she said, touching his arm. "Rebecca's more comfortable in the background, aren't you, Becca?" But something interesting was happening. Despite all the humiliation, I started noticing how uncomfortable the Duke looked with Isabella's behavior. When she made cutting remarks about the common people serving drinks, he frowned. When she dismissed a waiter rudely for bringing the wrong wine, he personally apologized to the man. His eyes kept drifting around the room, like he was looking for something or someone more genuine. That's when I decided to stop being invisible. I started making real connections with other guests. I helped an elderly woman in a wheelchair find her heart medication when she dropped her pill case. I chatted knowledgeably with the museum director about rare manuscripts we had at the library. I listened compassionately to a young widow's story about losing her husband to cancer. My natural warmth began to shine through the black dress and careful invisibility my family had imposed on me. But Isabella wasn't done humiliating me. She claimed her heel was broken and demanded I get down on my knees to fix it, right there in the middle of the dance floor, in full view of everyone. It wasn't actually broken, but I knelt anyway, trying to adjust the strap while she stood over me like a queen. The Duke witnessed this moment, and his expression hardened. "That's enough," he said quietly, but Isabella was too busy enjoying her power trip to hear him. What nobody knew was that I'd been volunteering at the children's literacy program that the Duke's Foundation funded. For months, we'd exchanged emails about book donations, reading curricula, and helping underprivileged kids discover the joy of stories. But he only knew me as H. Morrison from the library, just initials and a last name on official correspondence. I started realizing he kept glancing my way throughout the evening, not with romantic interest, but with puzzled recognition. My heart sank as I prayed he wouldn't remember our email exchanges. If he connected me to the literacy program, it would ruin Isabella's chances and devastate my parents' investment. They'd never forgive me. Through our months of correspondence, the Duke and I had connected over our shared love of classic literature, our concern for children who couldn't afford books, and our belief that true nobility comes from character, not bloodline. But face to face, watching my family's dynamics play out, I felt deeply ashamed. Every instinct told me to disappear, to play my role, to let Isabella have her moment. But something inside me was tired of being invisible. I noticed how carefully he watched our family's interactions. When my mother snapped at me for bringing her the wrong cocktail, he saw it. When Isabella treated me like a servant, he was paying attention. I thought I was being discreet about my hurt feelings. But apparently kindness, or the lack of it, is hard to hide. During dessert, an elegant elderly woman approached my table. Lady Catherine Pembroke, the Duke's aunt, struck up a conversation that changed everything. She was sharp, witty, and immediately saw through our family dynamics. "You're the sister who actually has a brain, aren't you?" she whispered conspiratorially while my parents weren't looking. Meanwhile, Isabella and my parents were practically celebrating victory. Isabella managed to secure a private conversation with the Duke on the terrace and returned announcing, "He's definitely interested." I could tell by how he listened to me talk about my charity work. She didn't actually do charity work, but she'd rehearsed stories about volunteering at animal shelters. I accidentally overheard my parents planning Isabella's next moves in the bathroom hallway. Follow-up invitations to exclusive events, strategic social media posts showing her glamorous lifestyle, even discussions about selling our family home to fund a move to London if the courtship became serious. "We've invested too much to fail now," my father said desperately. "This has to work." Lady Catherine continued chatting with me, learning about my real work at the library, my actual volunteer efforts, my genuine love of books and helping others. "You remind me of myself at your age," she said meaningfully. "Overlooked, but extraordinary. Some people can't see gold when it's right in front of them." She told me the Duke was struggling with his social position, tired of women who wanted his title and money rather than knowing him as a person. "He needs someone real," she hinted, studying my face carefully. "Someone who sees past the title to the actual human being underneath." As the evening wound down, Isabella confidently gave the Duke her contact information, assuming she'd secured her future. I prepared to fade back into invisibility, gathering Isabella's things and waiting by the coat check. But Lady Catherine had other plans. "Would you mind helping me to my car, dear?" she asked sweetly. "These old legs aren't what they used to be." Outside in the parking lot, away from the glittering ballroom, Lady Catherine revealed her true purpose. "I've been testing you all evening on behalf of my nephew," she said with a knowing smile. "He remembered your emails immediately when he saw your name on the guest list. He wanted to see how you'd handle your family's treatment. You passed with flying colors, my dear." Before I could process this revelation, the Duke himself appeared in the parking lot. H. Morrison, from the library, he said with genuine warmth, extending his hand properly this time. I've been hoping to meet the person behind those thoughtful emails about children's literacy. My world tilted completely. You knew. This whole time you knew who I was? He nodded, his expression kind but serious. I'd been looking forward to meeting you for months. Your emails showed someone brilliant, compassionate, and genuine. But tonight, I was shocked to discover you were the sister being treated like hired help. I watched your family humiliate you while you remained gracious and kind. That told me everything I needed to know about your character. For the first time all evening, I found my real voice. I'm so ashamed of how my family behaved tonight, I said, tears threatening. But I'm also tired of being invisible. I spent this whole evening watching my sister try to buy your attention while I was told to stay in the shadows. But I'm done hiding who I am. That's when Isabella and my parents came looking for me. They found me in deep conversation with the Duke, and their confusion quickly turned to horror as he explained our months of correspondence about the literacy program. Isabella's carefully constructed world crumbled in real time. You've been talking to him behind my back? Isabella shrieked, her perfect composure finally cracking. You sabotaged me. You stole what was rightfully mine. The Duke watched her meltdown with growing distaste, seeing the real person beneath the polished exterior. My parents were devastated, torn between fury at me for ruining Isabella's chances and desperate attempts to salvage their investment. Your Grace, my father said, practically begging, surely you can see that Isabella is the better choice. She's more beautiful, more sophisticated, more suitable for someone of your standing. The Duke addressed my family directly, his voice calm but firm. I've spent this evening observing how you treat Rebecca versus Isabella. Your daughter Isabella may be lovely, but Rebecca has something far more valuable: genuine kindness and authentic character. Those qualities can't be bought or taught. Isabella stormed off in tears, her $15,000 gown trailing behind her. My parents stood stunned in the parking lot, realizing their investment strategy had completely backfired. The daughter they'd ignored and undervalued was the one who'd captured the Duke's genuine interest. For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen and valued. I didn't gloat over Isabella's disappointment, but I also didn't apologize for finally stepping out of the shadows. The Duke asked me for a proper first date, not another charity gala or society event, but a quiet dinner where we could continue our conversations about books, dreams, and making a real difference in the world. That night taught me that authentic connections can't be manufactured, no matter how much money you spend. My family spent years trying to package Isabella for success, but they forgot that real love recognizes real character. I finally understood that being overlooked by the wrong people just means you're waiting for the right person to truly see you. If you've ever been the overlooked sibling while your family invested everything in the golden child, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and share one thing about yourself that people underestimate. Sometimes our greatest strengths are the ones our families can't see. Subscribe if you believe genuine kindness will always outshine manufactured perfection. Your authentic self is worth so much more than any role your family assigned you. I read every comment because everyone's story matters. Let's build a community where being real is more valuable than being perfect.